This is question 6 on the foundation calculator paper. Question 6 says there are 3 counters in a bag. So there are 3 counters in the bag. One counter is red, one counter is green, one counter is blue. Mike takes at random a counter from the bag. He puts the counter back in the bag. Then Ellie takes a counter, at random a counter from the bag. Is Ellie more likely to take a blue counter from the bag than Mike? You must explain your answer. Now, the answer for this, because Mike puts the counter back in the bag, right? The probability of Mike picking a blue counter to begin with is 1 in 3, or 1/3, because there are 3 different counters in the bag, so it's going to be out of 3, and there's only blue. And when he puts the counter back, and Ellie picks a counter, the probability that she'll pick a counter that's blue is also 1 in 3. So the question is Ellie more likely to take a blue counter from the bag than Mike? And the answer is no. They both have the same chance of picking a blue, which is 1/3. Okay, and that's a pretty complete answer for that. Going on to part B, write a list of all possible combinations of the 2 counters that Mike and Ellie can take. So the important part of that question is all possible combinations, right? And they want a list of all the possible combinations. So I'm going to go through this in a logical way, because if Mike picks first, he can pick a red counter first. And if he picks a red counter first, Ellie, she could also pick a red counter. So red and red is one combination. If Mike picks red first, she could pick a green. Yep. And if Mike picks a red, the other color that she could possibly pick is blue. I'm going to use this sort of logical approach to go through all of them. So this is with Mike picking a red first. What if Mike picked a green first? Now I'm going to go through the same combinations. She could pick a red first, or, she could pick a red when she picks it. Or if Mike picks a green, she could pick green as well. Or you can have Mike picking a green, and she could pick a blue. And finally, what if he picks a blue first? Okay, she could pick possibly red, or if he picked a blue first, she could pick a green, or if he picked a blue first, she could pick a blue as well. So that's all the combinations there. Now, I just want to re-explain what I did here. I said, assume that he picked a red, then she could pick a red, or a green, or a blue. If he picked a green, she could pick a red, or a green, or a blue. And if he picked a blue, she could pick a red, or green, or a blue. So I made him pick each of the 3 colors, and then identified what she would pick by picking all the 3 colors, and then that way I've covered all the possible combinations. Going on to the last part of the question. So in the last part of the question, it says find the probability that Mike takes a blue counter and then Ellie takes a green counter. Well, to answer this, I'm going to use my answer to part B. In part B, these are all the possible combinations that you could have. And altogether there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So my answer to part C is going to be out of 9, because there are 9 possible ways in which they could pick combinations of counters, or 2 counters, from the bag. And the question says, find the probability that Mike takes a blue counter and then Ellie takes a green counter. So how many of those are there where Mike took a blue counter out and then Ellie takes a green one? And that is the only one. So it's 1 out of 9, and that's what I'm going to write in my answer space, 1 out of 9. Now this particular question, type of question, is quite popular. Right? It's a pretty straightforward probability question, but if you break it down, think about each stage of it, and think about how I arrived at the answer, yeah, you should be able to do this yourself and get full marks.